Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you may be. Hope everyone's doing great today. We got some Star Citizen things. Excuse the weird looking, the way my toboggan is, because uh, if you've anyone watching has seen any of my recent videos, you know I stepped on my headset and broke it. So this one's like oh so loose. So I figured, let's see, what if I put the toboggan on to hold it? And I mean, it looks better than how it was. It's kind of flopping, but still, I know this whole look is weird. So, excuse me for that. But anyways, it is patch day for Star Citizen 4.6. Uh, um, Lifeline for Levski, and also we have the release of the RSI Hermes, and there's a behind the ship for the Hermes. So let's take a look at these.
This is James Harriman with another SSN Newsflash. Reports continue to rush in following the outbreak of a new and devastating disease set to overwhelm Levski. As cases of infection accelerate in Nix, the UEE advises extreme caution when traveling to the area. If you have had possible exposure to faulty Geisen air filtration systems and are experiencing any of the following symptoms, the UEE urges you to seek medical help immediately. These are headaches, depression, joint aches, chronic fatigue, and trouble breathing. As the death toll continues to climb, the People's Alliance have issued a plea for volunteers to help Alliance Aid in managing this spiraling situation. Until next time, this is James Harriman reporting.
Okay. So, just a quick little intro for the patch, and again, we've got the mold, which I mean looks like more than mold, like actual fungus. So, of course, like many people are thinking, kind of like a Last of Us type of comparison. Now, the one thing I will say, since this is, I mean, as it seems like pretty central to Levski, um, and I mean, I know there's like also the new medical armor stuff, which I am interested in seeing and possibly getting if I can. Um, but I mean, like I said, is this going to be just completely central to Levski? Because if that's the case, now that obviously, well, the depths in Levski are open and everything, the reason I say that is because then, I mean, I'm interested in going to look and try it out. But I do know my computer, like I said, is on its, I think, last legs as far as Star Citizen's concerned. It's like on that borderline between working and not. And going to Levski, I again, obviously for the event, there are going to be a ton of people there and everything, so it's going to be laggy as it is, I'm guessing. But especially with my computer, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be worth it, but I guess we'll see. And I could always try one of the other servers, I suppose. But anyways, uh, that down. Let's take a look now at the intro for the Hermes. Again, I don't know why it's not um, uh, showing me the next thing. Hold on. Okay, we'll do it that way then. That's behind the ship.
Package is secure. I just got... What's going on?
We're getting snagged.
the Apollo medevac. So in the medevac and the triage, which again I will just say I have no idea why they made the medevac and the triage in the way they did, for just a slight differences but not a big enough price differ. I mean, I'm saying that wrong, but again, what's the point? But anyways, so where the two modules for the medical beds that you can switch out are, it looks like they just cleared all that out, and well, I guess including too how there are the and I guess we'll see in behind the ships better, but like okay, so like in my medevac, you go in the back door, which it looks like they've widened her ass a little bit, if you will. And then when you go into it, then there's like I said, a door on your left and your right, where if you open it, then you can store, what is it? I think it's 32 SCU. Yeah, 2 layers of 16. Yeah, 2 layers of 16. So 32 SCU on each side for a total of 64 between those. So again, just that brief look, and we'll see better in the behind the ships. But looks like they knocked all that out, and then the two, like I said, the modules for the beds and all that, like all that was just knocked out to make room, because I think now this has like 260 something SCU, which is a big increase from 64. But again, if you clear all that out, there you go. So, all right, let's take a look at the inside.
What can you tell me about the Greek god Hermes?
History question.
I have absolutely no idea.
I will say the wrong thing, and then the internet will be mad at me.
Did he carry cargo on his shoulders? I don't know. Put a cart? Was he the god of goods?
Hermes was the herald of the gods and considered the protector of the human heralds, so responsible for people traveling from one location to another and moving things around.
Perfect.
Really? About this type.
The Hermes is RSI's first dedicated medium freighter. We were discussing new ships quite some time ago, and at that point we were developing the Apollo, and the Hermes seemed a natural chassis alteration for the Apollo series.
With the RSI Apollo, it was received very well in terms of its styling, and really what we wanted to do was take those visuals and just make it available for a new audience.
The main distinguishing feature of the Hermes is it has much larger, beefed up thrusters visually on the outside.
It needs a lot of power to move that weight around. One of the things we wanted to try and convey with its visuals was this idea that it had a lot more strength than what the base Apollo did. So if you look at the very top of the ship, you'll notice that where there's a big window in the Apollo, you're seeing much more of the kind of like the inner structure of the ship. So it's reinforced with large girders and these big metal plates that make it feel a lot stronger.
Whilst its official designation is a medium freighter, the Hermes is sort of internally often referred to as a sort of blockade runner. It is great performance in a straight line with those extra beefy thrusters. It has some good armor. Obviously the weapons are all upgraded compared to the Apollo series. It has 16 S2 missiles. It can pack a punch while providing very competitive SCM and nav speeds at the expense of some maneuverability. Inside, the front half of the ship shares virtually everything with the Apollo series, and that is your bridge and habs and component room, but the back half is a completely different story.
It's pretty obvious that things have changed. It basically strips out any of the interior that isn't essential to the ship's flight and replaces it with a large cargo space.
Capable of holding 288 SCU, and that includes being able to hold the 32 SCU crates. There isn't a lot of ships in that 200 to 300 SCU cargo range. You have the Raft series that's down at 192, And then you have sort of the Caterpillar series that is 500 plus. There isn't really many ships in that middle zone.
Okay.
The Hull B is moving up to 512. That was sort of the closest. But of course, the Hermes carries all of its cargo internally compared to, say, the Hull series, which has it all external and much more vulnerable.
He isn't out yet still,
One of the things we realised when we were developing the ship was having a cargo space that is quite short but very wide, and then trying to bring the cargo into the space was quite difficult. So our design team came up with this idea of having this tracked beam that ran on a rail through the centre of the cargo space. And that really allows you to be able to pull that cargo in quite easily.
And the tractor beam can be controlled from either the co-pilot seat or a dedicated station at the rear of the ship. So if you've ever had problems playing Cargo Tetris, then the Hermes might be the ship for you.
So in terms of paints on the Hermes, the default paint is kind of a nod back to the Zeus CL, so another cargo ship from RSI. We thought it'd be nice to kind of continue that theme and that brand recognition across the cargo ships on the RSI lineup. The Apollo was quite a serious ship, so for the paints for the Hermes, we thought we'd have a bit more fun. We've got a nice two-tone black and yellow. We've got a purple, yellow and white. And because Jared cries when we don't, and is quite persistent at coming and appearing at my desk, we also did the disco paint that we did for the RSI Meteor. So it builds on that brand recognition, and it keeps Jared happy.
Yay!
This ship is obviously for those focused on cargo hauling, but you can also fit quite a lot of our smaller ground vehicles in there, so it's a great little ship to reposition things around. A lot of people have said that they love the Apollo's look, but don't like the medical gameplay, so this really is the ship for those people. It's fast, sleek, and is very just versatile ship, so I think people are going to enjoy it.
Okay. I will say that as far as when you're going to do, if you're going to do a variant of a ship, that's the type of approach to have. I mean, something completely different in nature. Because, as I think about the ships that have variants, and this being said, I haven't, seen every single variant of every single ship, but I think I've seen at this point a good majority of them between, IAE's ship week, fleet week, Vixis, stuff like that, where they've had a bunch of ships for rent and stuff. So I think I've seen the vast majority of those that have numerous variants and how they look. And like I say, you look at something like the Aurora, where that chassis is pretty much exactly the same, I think, in all of them, and then you have a couple differences as far as weapons or a crate below or whatever, but it's pretty much the chassis for what it is, because it's a small ship, is completely the same, and you just change exterior stuff. Similarly, like the Avengers. Now, like the Avengers, I will say I think have a good little variety for what they are. I mean, as far as again for variants and differences, because of course you have the Titan. I mean, again, the Avenger chassis, the same overall ramp in the back or whatever, but of course there's the differences between, of course, the Warlock having the EMP, the Stalker with the pods for your victims, I mean bounties, and of course the Titan and yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Just was told or realized I left my phone in another room. I was wondering why things were so quiet. Anyways, but like I said, same chassis, but whereas there are very stark differences in the interiors. I mean, for okay, think of some of the other big ones. The cutters, there's like I said, I mean, obviously differences. I've only been used all the cutters, like pulled them out and walked around them. I mean, if I go back to my old videos, you can look, but I don't remember there being like stark differences in the cutters, other than one or two little things for the usefulness, well, maybe the way a console was or whatever. You've got the cutlasses, which if I remember, pretty much the black, steel, um, and I think maybe even the blue are pretty much the same. Um, Whereas obviously the red is the medicals has got beds in it. Trying to think again of the other big ones where they have a lot of them. I mean, you have your guardians, which are only three types. The key and the I guess regular guardian, or like I said, it's pretty much the same except for the quantum interdiction module. But I mean, as far as the interior and the way it looks on the outside, and of course the MX is bigger, no bed halves area and all that. So I mean, yeah, those I think are good examples of, again, what variants. If you're gonna have a variant of something, let there be a variant, because like of course like you have the constellations that internally they seem pretty much the same, you know, except for the Phoenix, obviously, since it's your luxury type thing. But yeah, I'm glad to see that, you know, a ship that they like, they made a variant of it, but it is like starkly different from the others. Where I could see someone, maybe owning um, a triage slash medevac and a Hermes, again, because for different purposes, but because, well, they probably like RSI in general, but again, just the look of the ship, because like they say, the silhouette and everything as it is. So, I mean, if we get some more variants of course, new ships are always fun and everything, but if we get some new variants of older ships as well, or when we get a new one, have a couple variants within a small period of time, I think that could be cool. Now, again, we've only seen the silhouette of it, but I think I believe the next upcoming thing is the Argo Salvager, which apparently seems to be like a mole variant, which is something that me and my Orgamates have been talking about like forever. So if it is indeed just like a mole but changed a little bit for salvaging purposes, that'll be cool, as long as it's different enough. I mean, obviously it's got different functions, mining to salvaging, but yeah, still give me a difference. So yeah, if you were to have the three, well, not Apollos, the three, because again, why are they called Apollo, Medevac, and Triage? I guess because the name Apollo, and then the slight differences where one day we'll have the drones and stuff like that. And the Hermes, which, as they said, is a little beefier. Obviously, that back end is wider as they took all that other stuff out. Yeah, like I said, again, comparable. I guess the closest comparison, as I just said, I think for this now, the Triage and Medevac are to the Hermes as the Guardian and Key are to the, or QI are to the MX. Same basic design, but kind of beefier and for a different function. So yeah, give me some more of these. Give me some more variation like that, as well as new ships. But that is my reaction and thoughts to these 3 Star Citizen videos, which after I put this in, I will go ahead and start updating Star Citizen. Maybe as I'm loading this as well. I don't know. As always, feel free to share, subscribe. Hope you give me a like if you like my content. Those who have subscribed, thank you very much. I appreciate it so much. Hit that notification button so you know when I drop something new. If you feel so inclined, leave me a comment regarding any of the 3 videos, my reaction, any thoughts or suggestions. And as always, thanks for watching.